things I've been up to is just some general maintenance on the railway, and also upgrading some of my old coaching stock and goods wagons that are old but can be modified with new couplings and whatever, and fixed in different ways. Because the prices are getting so dear, I'm not going to buy any more wagons. I'm just going to adapt what I've got. They're way too dear now, what they want, especially with the new price rises. I mean, a wagon like this now is going to be £30. It's just not worth it. So what I'm doing is what you've seen in one of my previous videos, is doing the couplings by putting an in pocket in there, which is glued in, and you'll see in one of my previous videos how to do it. You can do it on Lima, Hornby, anything you like, any old stock. And it allows you to put in a small tension lock, or if you want, the new Hunt magnet couplings, which just push in quite easily. So it's just a question of getting the distance right where you cut them, and gluing them in with epoxy resin. And I just use this stuff, which is Z epoxy. So it just takes 5 minutes to dry. It's very good. Also, I've been fixing some of the underneath, because I bought a lot of these second hand with sort of stuff what I've broken or whatever, and you need these retaining bars, I would call them, to stop the wheels moving too far. So all I've done is, if you can see that, is arrowbite in a bit of copper rod in place with the broken plastic pieces, and they do the same job. So again, with some epoxy resin, after drilling a little hole and poking the wire in, so that fixes that problem. And the couplings are done. I've already weathered it, and to be honest, why would I want to buy another one? So if I do buy another one, if it doesn't get too dear second hand, it will be second hand. I'm certainly not paying £30 for one of these. And I'm working on this one at the moment with the same problems underneath, for broken plastic, so just fixed. If you don't do that, they come off the track at points and whatever. So also I've put new wheels on them as well, new metal wheels. So they're getting dear enough as it is. But so there's the NIM pockets. I don't know if you can see that clearly. And they just come on a sprue like this, and I get them off that auction site, and you can get it from get them from a website, or a guy just 3D prints them. So, but the information's in the previous video. So that's what I've been up to really. Got a lot of these to do. As I say, it's cheaper to adapt what you got, and it does a good job. And like, there might be a fraction more detail on the new ones, but for the money, they're just not worth it. So if I was you, I'd get adapting your old stock, or buy an old stock and adapting it. This wagon was probably about 1970s, because it had the old metal coupling on it, and very easy to change. So there's one example. Once you've got an in pocket, you can put in where you like. So there's the hump coupling, and there's a small tension lock. So you can put in step ones if you want, if they don't line up with the wagon in front or behind. And use hump couplings. They pull in nicely. They'll go round a reasonable radius without any buffer lock. If you can see that. So, and as I say, tension locks the other ends. All the tools you really need are something like a saw like this for cutting balsa wood up, or a razor saw I think, and just to cut the plastic. Just be careful you don't cut through the rest of the chassis, so you can always put a bit of cardboard between, you know, where the coupling is going to be cut and placed, so you don't damage the underside of the wagon. And just a craft knife, a pair of pliers, and just a scalpel for trimming stuff, and a cocktail stick to mix up the glue. There's not a lot to it really, and it takes me about 15 minutes to do one, so no brainer really. Maybe I'll show you one sped up. So here we go. Put a cardboard underneath to protect it. In my case I'm cutting here, but you may want to measure. Seems a bit brutal, but it's worth it in the long run. I've converted loads of different old bits of rolling stock. They include Hornby wagons, like you've just seen me do, VDA wagons, which you may have seen as well. I forgot the name of this wagon, but converted these, Hornby, old and new, you know, if you want the couplings updated. What's this? A Hornby coach with the old fittings, goes on there very neatly actually. So I'll give it a shot round that way. Very neatly indeed, and that's got the Hunt magnet couplings in this one. An old Duplo or Daypole, and they've got the same sort of clips underneath, so they do a neat job as well. Converting them with the same fittings, come out really nice. You just have to be a bit careful with your distances, that's all. Don't chop off too much to get the right distance between coaches, but on the whole it's very easy to do. Old Lima, not quite as neat, the Lima, but when you think that they've got a whacking great D-tension lock coupling, and it's a bit of a mess to start with, but you can do these quite easily as well, just watching how much plastic you cut back. And in fact they're actually designed by the chap who makes these 3D printed NIM pockets to fit on Lima anyway, but they actually fit quite neat on a lot of other makes, as you can see. So on the top you wouldn't know it had been changed really. It's only when you look underneath and you see a little bit of epoxy resin, but generally it's because of the shine of it, so you only need to sort of paint it matte black, just, or not even bother really, unless you keep looking under the coach you're not going to see it. I think it's an extremely neat way of updating your old rolling stock. Got an old backman here, which is the same as a main line, yeah, which used to have the tension locks. Another one what's not quite so neat underneath, but on the top looks very neat, and you wouldn't really take much notice of that. As I say, a bit of matte black paint, carefully applied, and you lose the shine, but for the continued use of these old models, it's well worth doing, because a lot of the time it's the couplings what tend to show them up and make them look old and chunky toys really. So to modernise them, I can't recommend these pockets enough. He does loads of different conversions on his website and on that auction site he sells on, and they're for various types, but as I say, you can adapt quite a lot just with this type. And this is for Lima Mark 1s, Mark 2s and Mark 3s, and that's what he's got it down labelled as. But as the rolling stock is getting extremely overpriced now, alright, it's got more detail, but you know, £40 plus for a coach, and if you want it lit, £80 odd, you're talking the price of a train a few years back. And now the trains, well, they're gone beyond reason when it comes to price. So a good way to update some of your old stock rather than waste buying new stuff overpriced. I did mention these in a previous video that I did, but I'm starting to use them more and more, and thought it might be worth bringing it to your attention again. The guy who prints these is called Matt Wicks at Vectis 3D Models, and I'm really impressed with this, and I keep on buying them. Hopefully they don't go out of stock now, but I've got quite a few in stock myself, but well worth buying, not too dear, very reasonably priced, very reasonably, you know, reasonable charges on postage as well. So I'll put a link in the comments, and well, fill your boots. Hopefully you enjoy converting some of your old rolling stock. And as for gluing it, any quick drying epoxy glue will do, Aradite will do. It's just some are slightly better than others, and I tend to use Z epoxy, that's my choice. But any quick drying epoxy should do a good job, and I don't have any problems with them once they're done. Actually, they are pretty reliable. I've got quite a lot of work ahead of me, as I've got quite a lot of old stock that I need to convert, but it will be worth it in the long run, as I'm not buying any more new stuff. Would be a waste of money. Here's some of the stock I've converted already. Just backing it up out of the TMD, and it rolls along and behaves nicely with the new couplings. That's the only one I haven't converted, which is a backman, which is directly in front of the train, or the loco, should I say. Right, just slowly bring her past the camera. Maybe a bit too slow. Speed her up a bit. Couplings all performing nicely. Might as well reverse the train as well. that's it for now. Hopefully this helps you save a bit of money. I'll be back in my next video, which will be all about lighting up my layout. I've been working on lighting some of the evening sheds and maintenance sheds. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, which won't be long, hopefully. Bye for now.